hidden mounds. Bandits sealed their doom. Red-backed bandits of Mawddwy. Fear grew where they went, with whispers in the wind of fortunes they'd spent. Golden rings and crowns, pockets heavy with gloom, stashed in hidden mounds. Bandits sealed their doom. Red-backed bandits of Mawddwy. Fear grew where they went, with whispers in the wind of fortunes they had spent.
Croeso, and welcome to Tales of Wales, the pod that never fails to be the highwaymen of your heart, the bandits of your brain, the sly dogs of your soul, and you are joined by your hot banditos of a host. Oh God, me and Jack.
I liked it, and that was, for those who didn't catch it, that's a little bit Espanol. Espanol. Don't let any of the naysayers say that we don't go international.
With that little interest, because I was going to say the rest of the podcast has nothing to do with the Espanol, but it is about bandits and banditos. Oh no, banditos.
It's just a fun word to say, isn't it? Banditos.
It is. Yeah. I think did I send you a video earlier of me harassing my dog? Let me see if I can play it now.
You didn't send me, no, but it does sound thrilling.
Little Spanish baby boy. Hola, buenos dias. Hola, buenos dias, mi solupo loco baby. Little baby Spanish boy. Hola, buenos dias.
I will give you absolute 10 out of 10 for enunciation. Buenos dias.
Yes.
Also, it's the things our poor dogs have to go through.
I know,
as
man.
well, I can just imagine her little face, because Alfie's the same when you're pestering him. He just like stares at you.
She's
blankly.
lying on her back,
if he's
looking away.
Occasionally, he does I love the eye look if he's looking away
So
from you,
good.
but then the eye just darts towards you. Like,
Dogs
what are you
so
fucking
funny.
doing?
Yeah.
They put up with a lot of shit, don't they?
That was our intro. I'm Frank, so I think I probably said that. I hate having to do the intro. I'm so bad at it. I just get so flustered.
I'm happy when I do it if I know I've written a good one.
Yeah.
You know? But if I'm like uncertain, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't do it with enough gusto,
then
you feel like you haven't done it with enough gusto, and it falls
But
back.
I've never written the intro more than 30 seconds before I've said it, so it's always so fucking ramshackle. I always forget that's something we're meant to do, so I never ever have one. But
when we do a doubler, it's not so bad because I know what one you're going to do, and we tend to do it. I write for yours, you write for mine, don't we? Usually, if I know what's coming up, I can tailor it to that. But these ones where we do like the little lunchtime records, because it is kind of a bit more off the cuff and quick paced, it's a bit harder to get some ramshackled intro together.
Do you know we've been doing the Throwback Thursdays on a Thursday? I listen to some of them and I get so cringed out because I don't know why, but I was a lot more swearing, a bit more aggressive in some of them. I think maybe I was just
our whole first season is pretty aggressive because we were very insecure.
Yeah, I think maybe that's it. I think you're in.
Yeah, we also pod Goliaths we are today,
and we said things like, "I said, oh, well, if you're over 70, you should be listening." I didn't mean that at all. I think it's because something came up about being over 70, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want any of our fans or listeners to be over 17." But as if we take.
To be fair, you do correct yourself afterwards because then you said because you go, "Oh, I don't really mean that," and we were like, "We'll take anyone. We'll take absolutely anyone."
Right. So
again, our insecurity coming
then.
out.
All right, a flannel man. Oh, although I do like some of the bits we throw back to, I think maybe we've become a bit more comfortable in who we are. as
I think
podcast hosts.
when we were green back, I say it like it was 10 years ago. It was fucking like last year.
But I think it was like 2 years ago because we did a lot during the pandemic.
Technically, that's true. Actually, because even though it didn't start till the start of last year, we'd been doing it for a year, hadn't we? Before,
but we made so many technical issues.
Oh yeah. We had so many ones that had just been locked away because audio issues were fucking awful.
Yeah.
But because we were new, I think we were both nervous about it, and we were like, as we said many a time in that first season, we're like, if people don't like it, it was a joke, all right? It was just a big joke.
yeah. And then I think we quickly were like, all right, we can stop doing that now. So anyway,
once the punters came in, we were happy then when we went strength to strength.
Yeah, and talking of going strength to strength, we're going to hopefully meet some of our lovely listeners this weekend, and that shows a big stepping stone from where we were.
I was wondering what you're going to
I don't know
cue in then, segue in with strength. Like, speaking of strength, you want to come see us here, Steve? You see how strong we are. You can feel our bloody muscles if you want.
Talking of how strong and cool we are, we actually be
gods, we were strong at the Eisteddfod.
Yeah. So have you got anything to feed us up on? Because I remember last episode I yarped on about my travels and
I do have a little something. I was talking to Amy about something. She had it was mainly the idea of I feel kind of bad that women have certainly feel pressure.
The white knight arrives.
Listen, girls, right? I'm just a feminist, and no, I do feel bad that they all these procedures and stuff like that they have. Like Amy had this thing done the other day. She had I've written the word down right. Polynucleotide. She had polynucleotides put like under her eyes, and I didn't know what that is. Right? It's derived from fish jizz. Have you heard of this?
No.
Well, technically, it doesn't have to be fish jizz. It can be any jizz, right? And I made a very crass joke about that, as you can imagine. Yeah. But it's like injected under your eyes, and it's meant to like revitalize your eyes, the skin under your eyes, and make you, I don't know. It's like a treatment. I don't even fucking know what it's really.
But not like a medical treatment, like a cosmetic thing.
Yeah, like a cosmetic thing, but like is an injection involved and stuff.
Yeah.
And they do this. They use this thing called like a canicule. I can't remember the word now. But basically, like a little tube they put under your eyes, under the skin, and then they deposit these little fish jizz bits in, and it's meant to like revitalize your eyes and stuff. And I just thought halfway through she was telling me this, I said, "What the fuck are you even talking about? Like, little fish jizz injections under your eyes." And I was like, "To what end? Like what?"
I think all of it is fucking smoke and mirrors. I don't think any of it does anything.
It's snake oil sales.
It is, isn't it? It's like,
it's gotta be.
I mean, I do look haggard, like I'm about to die. But
I was going to say, I don't like how I look in the mirror, but I don't. Maybe I could do some fish jizz under the eyes. But it's mad.
Yeah. So why fish jizz? Jizz don't fish, do they?
It's called.
Fizz don't jizz.
I mean, don't all mammals jizz? That's a
it's
question
not a mammal,
for our
though,
times, isn't it? Oh, it's a fish, of course. Yeah, sorry. I meant like animals. Animals that we produce.
No, because some things have coacas, don't they? And
but they still jizz out of them. They just don't have willies.
I don't know if that's true. Because I think some things just go like, oh, and then like a baby happens.
They just go, oh, and a baby comes out. Yeah. We really start listening to some, I don't know, animal anatomy podcasts and fucking clue ourselves up. But it's whatever. The thing is in the fish jizz is this polynucleotides or something. And I don't know exactly what it does. Apparently it's good for you. Who's experimenting with this?
That like boring cliche joke where it's like, oh, what was the first man doing when he had milk? It's like implying that he stuff. It's like, well, he probably saw the fucking calf gobbling on it.
There was probably like a real scientific approach to it, actually. But at what point did they go, what next like thing can we sell to women to put in their eyes? Have we tried fish jizz yet? Should we give it a go? Yeah, go on then.
Those stuff there, like I just think that's all madness. But Amy quite likes a snake oil. You both, well, even though it wasn't snake oil, you both got your fancy teas, didn't you?
That's true. Yeah. That wasn't snake oil. That was just pain.
Just good.
That was pain for about a year.
But now you got that Hollywood smile. It's
That's
all worth
true. You can't put a price on that. Tell you what, you can. It was about $4,000. But
that's mad.
But how good is it now when I'm flash those little fucking chompers?
those pearly whites. Oh, mate, they're beautiful. Yeah.
Come down to the stairboards and have a look yourself.
You'll see
feel
a
our muscles, see our
flash.
smiles. Yeah, a flash from Mice B.
What else? She does. I think she does like M's the same. M likes to spend money on herself, so like
Oh yeah,
me
like
and
the
you
face
spend
creams
money
and
just,
stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's a tiny little
mate.
pot, a fucking a thimble full of fucking cream, right?
And it's like
she
50
puts
quid.
It on, and yeah, every time she's got to get new stuff because I'm at home all the time. I get the deliveries, and I'm like, more fucking creams, and and it is insane money.
I know this is a bit like fucking cliche. We're like going on about how much your wife spends on makeup, but like M has like a skincare routine, and I'm not joking. It's about six or seven bottles, and they go in special orders, and one of them really stings, and it's like, this is insane. I just have a
Amy
shower.
One time had this. She had this like under eye stuff, and she put it on, and she's like going. Yeah. And then one time she went like, "Oh, I got a bit too much on my finger or whatever." And she went, "Oh, there's no point wasting it." She went, "I'll put this on you now." She put it under, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" It was like putting
acid,
in like Tiger Balm or something like that right under your eyes. And I was just like, "Why does this? Who is this for?"
I really like Tiger Balm. What are some of your top 3 smells? For me, gasoline. I love gasoline. Like
you like
petrol.
Gas, do you? Petrol.
I love gas, petrol. I do like Vic vapor rubs. I'm a big fan of that.
Big fan.
Big into Vic.
I love that shit, man.
Yeah. And what's another good smell?
I'm trying to think. I don't really have ones like that. Like odd smells.
I love rain on concrete.
I know a term for that. Pedicure. That's called.
Pedicure.
Pedicure. A smell of pedicure in the air. Did you say it was rain recently? That's how you use it.
Like when it's still sunny and it starts to rain, or like when it's like not like torrential, but it like does something to the concrete, doesn't it? Where it smells like
pitter patters, doesn't it? And it's meant to happen more often on hot concrete. So if it's been a sunny
day, that's what I mean. Like
spatter in the rain.
So like today when it rains, I'll probably go and have a little whiff at that.
Just go stick your head out the door and go. Yeah, I can't think of any like weird ones I have. I do think sometimes with smells, like if you're hungry and you smell like a Chinese, you're like, oh my God, that smells amazing. But you would never have that in like a perfume bottle, would you? Like if a woman walked past you and she smelled like Chinese, you'd be like, ugh.
Yeah. I love the smell of all food, but M can because I live opposite like a chicken place, and I fucking love the smell of like deep fried chicken.
I love the chicken.
And she's always. To be fair, I can't go there because I will be dead within a year. But every so often I'll go past it. I think, oh fuck, that smells good, and she'll say out loud, "Oh, that smells disgusting. It's so greasy." I'm like, "Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?"
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So I go around with like a cup trying to capture the smell and use his perfume.
Yeah, but no, I haven't got any weird ones like petrol. I know petrol's one is a common one.
I love petrol. Yeah.
Well,
let us know. Get in touch if you have any ideas of if you have any odd smells.
I smell. Tell you what, I've smells. I smell a new. Fucking hell! Let me do that again. I smell a new feature. No, I fucked it up again. I smell a new survey on the Patreon.
Oh yes. Right, you got there in the end. Also,
I'll keep all that in.
We had a message from Luke when we discussed Gunsmoke City with Jacob Anos, and he messaged on Insta. Oh fuck, Gunsmoke! I've had a memory of my shoes getting nicked, and I was terrified. I remember being angry at my nan because I thought she could have done more to protect my Velcro light ups. It was fucking mad. You'd be on this little like fake train where it's like a little like a small train with like I don't know what it was at the front, maybe like a Flintstone style. They just push it along with their feet, but you'd be on there with like looking out, and you'd see like cowboys coming up to you, and they obviously didn't have horses, but they probably had like wooden horses. They'd chase you, and then they'd hold up the train and make you all put your shoes in a bag, and it was so right terrifying. Yeah,
I'd never been, so it does sound like a fever dream to me. Yeah. But, and also Gunsmoke City, that does sound like something straight out of Red Dead.
Yeah,
he ran on down to Gunsmoke.
Yeah. Oh, and also a lot of people have messaged asking to see the little boy from Austin Powers. So it is on our Patreon, and it's free on the Patreon. So like, go over there and have a look because
you won't regret it. It's very, very good.
One message just said. So one message just said, "Show Austin Powers." Nothing.
Show him.
And it does. I think it lives up to the hype as well. I know we are.
It does. It's not a stretch at all. And the fact that you dress a kid like that at any point in time is mad.
Yeah. Mate, should I crack on with our epi? Because it's another lunchtime.
Go on. Tell us what you're talking about today.
So this has been really... We did this, we were looking to do an episode, a quickish episode because of like time restraints, and I said, "Oh well, why don't I do one for today?" I said this yesterday because I had a bit of time, and I thought, what's a fun thing to do? I tried for ages to find this story about these children of Matthew Evans, who was is from I think somewhere in mid Wales, and they were like highwaymen, but they were siblings. They were called Plant Matthew. So Matthew's children, and they used to work together to like do they had like a bit of a mythology around them. They used to hide out in Devil's Bridge and stuff, but I couldn't. I was like, where the fuck did I didn't just make this up, and I couldn't find anything about them online. And
you've mentioned them before. I'm sure you have.
I've
done like planning meetups.
Yeah. And I kept out doing like plant mat, and it would bring up a plant and a mat a mat full of plant, and I'd be like, no, in Welsh, and then it just didn't work. I ended up finding them, but whilst doing that, I found this a different story, which I think is really cool. And we are starting to do like Welsh true crimes, like historical true crime.
We're going to do like a mini series type thing.
Yeah. So we're going to cover some Welsh gangsters. We've done a Steel Towers murder episode in the past, so we can just collate them.
Yeah.
But this one here, this takes place in northwest Wales, in the county historically known as Meirionnydd, specifically around an area called Dinas Mawddwy. And this is during between like the 15th and 16th century. That area specifically was considered probably the most lawless place in Wales. It was like desolate countryside, really remote. It was on the fringes of the Welsh marshes, where murderers could get away with like quite literally murder. People would commit their crime.
Marshlands notoriously sort of high stakes anyway around that time, weren't they? So add a bit of criminality into the mix as well.
Yeah, and so like things had calmed down between the Welsh and the English in terms that there wasn't so much a big Wales anymore. Owain Glyndŵr had stopped in the 1400s, and by the time of like Henry VIII, things kind of settled a lot more between the Welsh and the English. There was other things going on then, like beforehand there was the War of the Roses, and it was more Wales had been quite firmly conquered in many senses. Obviously not forever, because here we are today, but anyway, you get the point. It was like a really sparsely populated area, so loads of crime would often be committed during like neighbouring towns like Machynlleth or Dolgellau, and then you'd escape to Dinas Mawddwy as like your hideout, because you had like natural mountains and loads of forest to hide in. So you do your crimes in the towns, and you could run away to these places. And apparently after the War of the Roses, many outlaws came to that area because they'd gained military experience in the army and during these times of war. So they used that, and they're like, right, well, I know
bastards
tough out bastards. They know how to live off the land. They know all this stuff. And this was one of the reasons why one group of outlaws were later immortalised in stories and poems known as the Red Bandits of Mawddwy, or in Welsh, Gwylliaid. I think it's Gwylliaid. It's GWYLLIAID, Gwylliaid.
Gwylliaid, yeah. Sounds right.
I'd say it like that.
It's Gwylliaid, is it?
Gwylliaid.
GWY, did you say?
Yeah, Gwylliaid probably, because I'll explain the word of it in a minute. So, and Gwyll means wild, and Gwylliaid means wildlings. So Gwylliaid Cochion Mawddwy. So that is Red Bandits of Mawddwy in Welsh. And this is the area in Dinas Mawddwy is where they chose to reside. Now, they were known as the Red Bandits, or Gwylliaid Cochion, due to the gang's fiery red hairs that was long and mane-like. So Cochion there means red, and also Gwylliaid, I read, means wildlings, which is I've only ever heard that in Game of Thrones, but it really evokes the type of people that they were, not townspeople. And during the 16th century, so that's the 1500s, Henry VIII set about essentially creating the working class. He passed this law in 1530 called the Vagrancy Act, which worked to criminalise not working. So, i.e., it's gone from the days of living off the land, and it's now a crime to be living on communal land and not in a wage labour. He was forcing people to take up poor-paying jobs for richer people. So the whole structure of the UK class system starts mostly with him.
Literally no choice either, because the other option is
the punishments. The punishments if you fall foul of this. First of all, you get tied naked to a cart and you're whipped until you bleed. Second offence is the same thing, but you get half your ear cut off, and then your third offence, you are executed. So,
Christ.
this and similar laws enacted across Europe backed up this intense state violence, and it created a huge amount of like working class people being forced to sell their bodies for labour to survive. So, i.e., the working class. There's a really good article by the people who run Working Class History, which is this like fucking. I love this social media account. Every day they'll do on this day in history. Yeah, they're really good. So they do a big story about how Henry VIII started the working class in the UK. But as I was saying, this takes place in the 16th century, and people could no longer live off the land and were forced into these poorly paid jobs, and created a much bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots. And many were struggling with basic provisions in Wales, which led to a rise in crime, such as stealing bread to feed your family. And to try and counter this rising crime, harsher punishments were laid out, such as lobbing off your hand for a morsel of crusty bread, my lord.
Just for a little bit of bread.
All I wanted was a little morsel of bread, my lord. But amongst those who were stealing to survive, there was an emergence of ruthless gangs who were now thinking, well, if we steal, we could lose a hand. But if we steal and kill, who's going to dob us in? So that idea is like, if there's no survivors to tell on you, you're not going to get in trouble.
Yeah, the sort of death penalty isn't acting as a deterrent then, more as like an escalation.
Yeah. So this caused a rise in highwaymen and bandits, especially outside of London and in the countryside. So when people were leaving these big cities, that's when they'd get them. They're often leaving with valuable stuff. They then lose the safety of a city. And whilst they're on the roads, that's where the majority of highwaymen would strike. The Red Bandits, for example, they were notorious for being incredibly vicious and would act with impunity. They would terrorize the locals. They'd steal their cattle, which was their entire livelihoods. They'd steal their money, their household possessions. There's a book about North Wales, which was published like 200 years after the time, but it's still classed as near contemporary because it's quite accurate, by Sabine Baring Gold. I did think Sabine from Fresh Meat.
Yeah, Sabine, I've lived a pig.
If you guys like Peep Show, go watch the TV show Fresh Meat. It's written by one of the writers from there, and it's fucking amazing.
It's great.
So, yes, in this book, written about North Wales, Sabine says, never tired of robbing or burning of houses or the mothering of people, which means to murder, in so much that being very numerous, they did often drive great droves of cattle, sometimes in the number of hundreds or more, from one county to another, at the middle of the day, at time of war, without fear, shame, pity, or punishment, to utter the undoing of the poorest sort. So, like, they just did what they liked. They would like steal hundreds.
A law unto
cattle.
themselves.
Yeah. And although there's a sort of mythical aura to this gang, we actually know very little about the bandits properly. But what we do know is clouded in legend, because I think it's something quite romantic about the highwaymen, and they do quite, and even not romantic about bandits, they are quite glorified. Well, not glorified. They're easy to storify. They're fun to kind of bring to life. So there's like writers like a person called Thomas Pennant and I.D. Husen who would write a lot about these people. But they lack like concrete information, which helps kind of fuel the story and popularity. They know these people existed, and then they know they were bad, but then they kind of like add their own elements. But what they all agree is that they were no do-gooders. Like, they weren't Robin Hood style figures at all, robbing from the rich to feed the poor. These were like renowned, violent, and vicious criminals.
They more like arsehole Sean Catty types, are they?
Yeah. Well, people still think he's like this lovable sweetheart, but
I think we've debunked that myth, mate. If no one's heard it yet, go listen to our Tom Sean Catty episode. He was not a pleasant fellow. That's what we think.
At all. Yeah.
He's a bit of a dick, to be quite honest.
There's a famous story of so the locals, so like I said, there's not loads and loads of factual or written down information, but these stories have been passed on, and there are some evidence of things. So, for example, the locals had to start helping each other to build up the defences for their property. And then there's quite a few examples of local farmers took the precaution of lodging scythes inside their chimney, so when the bandits tried to come down the chimney, they'd get cut with the scythes.
Nasty. That's proper Home Alone shit.
Yeah, well, they were really effective, and they end up being left in farm lodges until like the 18th century in the area. So like they worked as a proper deterrent, and that's like, and they were still there for people to see 200 years later. Now, one of the reasons this gang is so famous is because of a certain sheriff trying to keep the area safe and lawful. That man was Sheriff of Meirionnydd, Baron Lewis Owen, who'd been on a real bandit hunt. He, along with a guy called Sir John Hwyn ap Meredith, Meredydd. He'd been waging an intense campaign to curb the activities of the bandits, and on Christmas night, of all nights, he managed to round up 100 of them. Which shows the scale of the bandits.
Not on
in the
Christmas.
Area.
Come on.
What does Tiny Tim say? I don't know. Figure it out yourself.
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah.
We're a bit tired, aren't we?
Yeah.
So like 100 of them shows the scale of the bandits in the area. It's fucking, that's a lot of people to round up. And these were but these people who they round up were relatively ruthless, and they were, like well organized. They had like they were a collective, so they'd operate under this this red banner of being a big bandito, and a bit like how the mafia operate, and you have like syndicates of that mafia. But they'd often use young people to get involved in it, because either as a way of protection, so you're not going to get the young people killed, or as a way of like being able to get into places that older people couldn't, because they'd suspect an older person. They think, who's that guy? It's no good. But they were all pretty ruthless, and to counteract this ruthlessness, they were met with ruthlessness. Out of the 100 people they caught, 80 were condemned to die. And one of the 80 was two of the 80 were two sons of a local lady named Lowry. Or Lowry. I always say Lowry.
Lowry, it's the Welsh word.
Yeah. One of the sons was very young, and Lowry implored the Baron to have mercy on the youngest. He was apparently under 8 years old. But the Baron refused to listen, and he hung both the children and the other 80 bandits. So Lowry vowed to get revenge on the Baron and swore it publicly. And so one of the facts that we do know is on the 12th of October, 1555, a group of the remaining bandits, estimated between 8 and a whopping 80, so there's still a decent amount of them. They stalked the Baron as he made his way back to Dinas Mawddwy, and ambushed and killed him as he returned from the courts in Welsh Pool. So they knew he was attending the court, and they knew when he was due to leave, and then they felt when it was safe that they descended upon the Baron and ambushed him in the dark of the evening. And there are two accounts of how he died. One was he was found with 30 arrows lodged in him, and it was implied he was tied to a tree, and they took turns firing arrows into him.
Fucking hell.
And then another telling of the legend of the death is the sheriff was struck down by a flurry of stabs from daggers and swords and cudgels, with John ap Griffith ap Hugh delivering the fatal wound.
Either way, nasty way to go.
Yeah, tough way to go. Pretty terrifying. And in the wake of the murder, the full force now of the law was like, right, we are fucking coming down on these people. This often happens when they try and take out someone from the institute.
Someone big time.
Yeah. So now they brought all this down on the Red Bandits in Mawddwy. Loads of them, pretty much all of them, were hunted down and arrested, and a large number were sent to the gallows for their crime. They ended up catching Lowry, who was the mother who promised revenge, and she was tried for murder as well, but she pleaded pregnancy to avoid the rope, and her claim was substantiated, so she actually managed to escape the death penalty because she said she was pregnant again.
Nice one, Lowry.
Yeah, I know, she did all right to get out of that. But now so many of the gang have been killed, including one who was rumoured to be the leader, John Goch Griffith ap Hugh. And it meant because he was the leader. And
I love the names, like the mythical almost names, and they like folktale names, like Red John.
Yeah. So people don't know John Goch means Red John. And because, like I said, it was like a quite well organised group of thugs, with their leader gone, the rest fell into disarray. And this meant then that peace finally settled on the area of Dinas Mawddwy. So that's kind of the end of the story, but the bandits did live on in one way. Lots of the surrounding areas have names that immortalises them, like Llety Gwysiad, which is Wildlings Lodge, or Gwysiad Lodge, which is, so people in Welsh would call them Gwysiad Cochran, or Llety'r Lladron, which is Thieves Lodge. So they have these areas around there which they renowned. This is where they used to stay, and they're still named after them to this very day.
Very cool. That was a good story, man. The one that I was completely unaware of. Anyway, I'd never heard of the. No, was it Red? Well, not Red Bandits. You said Red.
It's Red Bandits of Mawddwy.
Oh, it's Red Bandits. Sorry, Red Bandits of Mawddwy. I also think whenever you said Red Bandits, I couldn't help but harken back to Home Alone with the sticky bandits and the wet bandits.
Well, we don't use the term bandit much in Welsh in the UK, do we? Like we probably call them like gangs or highwaymen or whatever. But
yeah, like the sort of antiquated would be highwaymen, wouldn't it? Like back in the day, you'd say highwaymen, you say bandits, really.
Yeah, bandits seems quite American, but I hadn't heard of it either, but I found it upon. There's quite a few bits you can read more about, but I just love like old Welsh legends and like all those things around there, like that these stories get a little bit hyped up over time, and then they become like romanticized. And although these people aren't massively romanticized, I love stumbling across new history.
Yeah, same. I love that whenever we research a topic, it spreads off into another topic, and you're like, right, earmark that for another episode. Like topics beget topics.
I was just gonna say that is insane.
Oh my god, we are so
I was just
gonna
say history begats history. And
oh man, we're so fucking in sync, bro.
We're such begat babies. All right, man.
Hosts begat hosts, mate.
Yeah, well, I'll begat you tomorrow morning because we're going to do our wing challenge. So
wings beget wings. Yeah.
Wings beget wings, begats tears. And
this is all going to be out of order for our listening audience because the next one they actually hear will be the Eisteddfod one. Yeah. And then it won't be long after that they'll be seeing our wings challenge. So this will come a couple of weeks afterwards, I imagine. But still, I hope you enjoy the wings.
Yeah.
I'm dreading it if I'm going to be honest because I feel like I'm going to blow my top.
If you got this far, please drop us a review, a like, share it with your mates. All that stuff massively helps. So we appreciate anything like that. And if you're this far down the listening, you're a true listener. So please do that. Diolch yn gwrando, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers all. Ta-ra.